Hey team, Sandy here. Today we're going to do an analysis of the World Padel Tour players, both men's and women's, and we're going to look at how they make it through that dreaded no man's land and what they do from the back of the court to position themselves perfectly. So we're going to watch a couple of points from both the men's and the women's. We've got LeBron and Galan here, and we're going to just watch quite a quick point, but how they analyse what is happening after their shots. Now you'll notice Ali Galan is returning here, and they are both behind the line. Yeah, LeBron is slightly further forward, but Galan, he's starting his ready position back here. This is the separation of the glass. So you can see he's a good step back there, which is what we've actually recommended in our recent return video. So he has a little bit more time to play off the glass. But after his return, they are staying behind this line. Both of them are well back. Now, the really interesting thing, and we're going to see this in the next point, is the ball is here. Yeah, Galan has just hit a really high lob. They are both back at this stage assessing and judging whether that is going to be a good lob or not, because you do not lob and sprint forward immediately. You need to know if it's good or not, and you can see this assessment is going on from LeBron here, and they've realized at this point, and then this bit here is super fast. Yeah, they're not hanging around in that area thinking what can they do. They are immediately moving from that backcourt position right the way to the net. So now we'll look at a point with Veseda and Las Heras, and as you can see again, returner is one step back from this position here, from this separation, and often the partner is one step forward because they need to analyse whether it's going to be a good return or not, and potentially could come in off that first shot. So let's see how this plays out. We're going to have the return out wide to the forehand side, hitting these balls, staying behind the line. Yeah, they're not really forcing their way in. They're waiting till they get a good opportunity here. And you can see both players have not actually stepped inside this line here yet. So there's no net rushing or trying to kind of, press their way up the court. They are waiting for the right ball. The lob has been hit. Both players are assessing. Notice that she hasn't sprinted all the way forward after this lob. She is assessing that lob. If it's a good lob, then she will pick up pace and maybe come forward. But you can see there, they aren't happy with that. So they've stopped in what we would call no man's land. Yeah, so one step in front of the service line. But at this level, when you're playing World Padel Tour, the players spend a lot of time in this zone, and it's not really considered no man's land. It's more of a transition zone. So they've actually stepped in side here thinking this could be an opportunity for them to come forward. The lob wasn't as good as they want, so they couldn't go all the way, but they're just analysing and assessing here. And you can see now they've stepped back, so they're not playing that ball in that zone. They're actually stepped back and playing the ball behind. And up goes another lob. They're assessing it now, and she's happy with it, so she sprints forward all the way to the front court and then joined by her partner. Can you see that once that lob has been hit, there is an assessment that goes on from the player. They aren't immediately sprinting forward. They're saying, is this a good lob? If it is, then off we go. Let's go to net. So let's look at another point from the pair. This is a slightly longer point now, but again, you can see returner is a step back. Returner's partner is stepping forward like this. It's fine for the returner's partner to have their foot on the service line. They can stand where they like on that side. So just in case that question comes up, the server is going to serve into that side glass there, and again, you're seeing the girls, they're looking, they've hit a lob, they've come to this position just in front of the service line to analyse whether it's actually, a good thing to step forward. Is it good enough? They've both decided, actually, no, it's probably not. They come behind the line, they move to their backcourt position. Again, another lob goes up. They move into this position here. Again, they're not thinking, you can see that they're not coming into no man's land and, they're not staying in this zone here. They're moving up forward to see whether it was a good lob or not, and having decided that they're not happy with coming to net on that, they've actually moved back behind the line. So they've moved back to an easier place to play this ball. And as the point plays out, we're going to see more and more playing from the back of the court here. The lob goes up, and again they've decided, and now they decide, look, now they really decide, let's sprint forward, because they have analysed and they've said that that is a good lob. Yeah, then they hold that net position, and we see later that they come to the back of the court again during this point. But it's important to note that when they make the decision to come forward from the back of the court, they really fly forward and they get quickly into a good net court position. We'll continue this point on because there's also some interesting points later on. So now they've received that lob. You notice there that she hits a high backhand volley to force themselves back. And now again, they're forced back to the back of the court. Yes, they didn't let it bounce, but they're now on the defense. And again, they've come behind this service line. Again, the lob has gone up. Players are just looking at it from the service line. They're deciding where they want to go. This time off a Chiquita. The players have come all the way forward, so partners come forward, and now this is a really interesting situation because one player has come forward, but the other has stayed back, and so now they need to make a decision. Does, the player at the back, Veseda, does she try and come forward with her partner, or does her partner come back to join her? And this is often where pairs can get stuck, and you can see now, in this situation, it's slightly different because the player now is stuck in this zone. Yeah, they didn't come all the way back, so they can't defend great from the back of the court. They're also a bit far back to volley, and they end up having a ball like that, where it comes down to the feet and her contact is this height and the direction of her next shot is up for her opponents. Yeah, so this is where she really needs to make that decision. Okay, I need to get out of this zone. I need to join my partner at the back of the court. And it looks like another Vibra comes in, and this is where, players get stuck. And she got away with it because she was in that position, but you could see that it was not a comfortable ball. So we'll look at the second point from LeBron and Galan here. This is a slightly longer point, so we'll get to see more shots from the back of the court. The return from LeBron, and again, they're staying behind that line. They're saying, it's not the right opportunity to come forward. They're staying back here, hitting 2 or 3 good shots. Notice again that, they're in this zone back behind the line. It's not like they're thinking, right, I really need to press. They're not kind of looking to make small steps up the court here to get to a net position. They are really taking their time because they know they need a good ball if they're going to move forward. And we will see that during this point. Again, nice behind the court, comfortable from the back of the court. They've hit a lob, they're judging it. Is it good enough? No, you see there, LeBron, he came forward, he had a look. Do I want to go to the net? No, okay, in that case, then I'm going to go back behind the line because it's, a more sensible place to defend from. They hit the lob now, and you can see Ali Galan has gone straight through this zone here. He's gone all the way to his net position. Yeah, and that's really important. He wasn't, hanging around. He assessed it was a good lob, and then he decided to come forward. LeBron is staying back because that sometimes happens, and he actually got caught a little bit in that zone there, going for a difficult shot and ended up making a mistake. But you can see here that when they make the decision to come forward, they really fly all the way to the net. And you'll see with World Padel Tour players that sometimes one will go forward, one will stay back to assess the situation, and depending on the game situation, it's more sensible for them to stay back. If you're a recreational player and you're learning the game, I recommend you both going forward together, which might mean that you need to buy yourself a little bit more time. These guys are incredibly athletic, and so, we're watching this on slow motion, but I can tell you from first-hand experience, they move from, this zone to the net incredibly fast. So when you're playing in your matches, just bear in mind that you might need a little bit more time. So if we summarise those 4 points there, you can see the World Padel Tour players, they stayed comfortably at the back of the court. They weren't trying to rush in. And when they hit a lob, they analyse that lob. Is it a good lob? If so, have I got the time to go forward? And if I do decide to go forward, then I fly to net. I go as fast as I can, I get into a good net court position. If it's not a good lob, maybe they do step onto the service line or just in front and they have a look. But if it's not a good lob, then they move their way back to the backcourt position where it's easier to defend. Now, up on this side, I'm going to put a video about the bandeja analysis, again with the World Padel Tour players, but comment down below if there's something that you really want to see in our analysis, and we can do that on the next one.